Welcome. Welcome to episode 1 of PR with Serena. Now, this is an existing channel that I had, but because I've been streaming about media literacy and political literacy, as well as issues that affect the creator economy, because I've been talking about that over on my other channel, it feels like I'm not speaking to you for the first time, but I probably am. So this content is so niche and so um, tailored to creators, entrepreneurs, people in business, but also students and practitioners of public relations and communications. Perhaps you're looking for community or how to or study material. Um, why is PR and why is comms so important for creators and entrepreneurs and business now more than ever? We've existed in a space for a long time where there's going to be opinion, commentary, reports about us and what we do as businesses or public sort of officials or entities, public figures. There's always been that consideration that's need to be had by us. Again, I'm speaking about us as my ideal sort of audience. And so public relations has been a discipline for a long time that keeps an eye on those things, that keeps an eye on the things that affect our reputation. And now we're at a time where nearly everyone is in the public. Nearly everyone is an influencer, or as an entrepreneur, you might find yourself to be a content creator as well. And so you have to start thinking about, goodness me, this is another space where I am speaking and sharing sort of sentiments, and I'm representing my company, my brand, and everything else. So I have to be a little bit more aware, or have to be a little bit more prepared. And that's what this episode is about. And that's why I'm creating content, because you really do need to be much more prepared. You need to be able to anticipate any issues that might come your way. That would come through mapping, planning, and for you to be able to react in an effective way as well. Because, come on, all of us, we react. What is it? Trigger thumbs, Twitter fingers. I can't remember the Drake lyric, but all of us are susceptible to reacting super fast and not necessarily effectively. So let's get into this. I'm just going to take a quick swig of my coffee and just say to you again, welcome to this channel, where I want to speak directly to you as a creator, entrepreneur, and someone in business, as a practitioner of public relations and communications, which is an incredible profession. I'm biased. I've been in it for 20 years, 20 something years. Maybe there were a few years where it was slightly on and off, and I decided to freelance mainly as a copywriter, or I decided to only work on sort of the event side, but always within PR and comms. And now, as a chartered public relations practitioner, like, that felt good when I went through that process, because I remembered how much I had done. It wasn't just because of the role that I was in at the time that I got chartered. It was just, like, goodness me, NGO, fashion, print media, broadcast, journalism, so many different music PR. Like, again, the list can go on. And I thought, goodness, I have learned so much. And I am tooting my horn because I need to demonstrate to you why I know what I know and why I do what I do. So I can absolutely serve you in a direct way, and we can book a call, and there's ways to do that. But the videos that I'm putting up here are for your implementation. They're not just to give you information and then try and lead you somewhere to have to find sort of like the actual nuggets that you need in order to implement. So I'm very cognizant and intentional um, about the thing. Well, what did I want to say? I'm very cognizant about the fact that you are wanting the answers and the how to and the ways to now, right now, as you're watching. And that I don't want to use a word time poor, because it's very sort of scarcity mindset. But I do want to also say we need to be very careful when it comes to comms, because you need the time to reflect. And this is where my systems thinking practitioner work comes in, and it sort of feeds my consulting work. it is such broad and wide reflective thinking. Like, I really go deep and also wide and zoom all the way back, and you need a little bit of time for that. So when you want to react, you probably shouldn't, and it'll probably be best to zoom out, because when you zoom out, you'll probably realize that you have some assumptions that you probably need to challenge. And isn't that just one of the core things about critical thinking, is that you absolutely must be aware of your assumptions, of your biases, so that you can make sure you're not in your own way, so that you can write a statement effectively without being reactive, so that you are aware of what all the audience sentiment is, what are all the nuances, what it's really charging up the audience sentiment right now. And therefore, shouldn't that inform how you're going to communicate and what you're going to communicate? Listen, there is there's ample evidence of comms done badly. There's ample evidence of it. There's so many videos of people putting out apologies. My goodness me, I did a video on my other channel called The Anatomy of an Apology. Maybe I will bring that over here. What was that sound effect? But the apologies, I mean, they're not apologies, are they? Because what people really want is they want you to demonstrate accountability. So, okay, let me give you 3 things to implement straight away. So, I would say is define your audience again for yourself, and just quickly write it on a piece of paper. You don't have to wait for you to be in the document. You can open up your phone right now and sort of like create a memo, whatever it is going to be accessible to you right now. So define your audience. So the audience has always been with you, the core audience. That's number one. Number two, any new potential audience, you can see them sort of coming in. Maybe you've made a change in your offering. And then three, who would you like to sort of like reach a little bit more? So that's your third. Like, who would you like to bring in to the fold? Who would you also like to get to? Now that you know who your core is, who are the sort of newbies coming in as well, and then who you would like to, you've got your like past, present, new present, and then your future. But all of them are hopefully going to be part of your future. So now you've done a little bit of a, not just, oh, I have to deal with the customers right now and what their issues are right now. You also need to think about, but how is this going to sound to those new ones coming in? How is it going to sound and look like for those that I want to attract? You've always got to bear that in mind. Okay, do that. Now write down one of the risks that you are experiencing right now as a risk, a reputational risk. Write that down. Keeping that in mind, let's just say as an example, you sell eggs and now there's a risk. No, you are, no, even better. Okay, so there's an influencer called Eddie, and he has gained such a following, and I think basically he's about keto, the keto diet. He's all about protein, animal protein and eggs, and there's like a real movement around him. So imagine, let's just say he's all about eggs, and one of the risks of that is, what if there's an egg shortage, or if there's a risk that there's something to do with bird flu or salmonella. Gosh, I don't want to think of anything sort of conspiratorial. But let's just say there's an egg shortage. Okay, let's just say there's an egg shortage and that's his thing. Is that real? It's not a massive risk to his brand or business. What if the risk was something around a shortage? Let's just say shortage, and it's not just eggs, but it's cattle. It's sort of like dairy. Yeah, let's just say there's a shortage of dairy. There's something that's gone on with farmers, yada yada yada. And now it's not just the fact that his fuel is missing; it's the fuel that he is promoting for others to consume is now missing, and it's in short supply. So there you go. That's one example of like, how is that going to therefore impact your focus as a business, as a creator, as an entrepreneur, but also your communication. Like, how are you going to communicate? What are you going to do? Will you have to pivot? Will there be a pivot? Like, what is your plan B or a plan C? And then how are you going to communicate that to audience A, audience B, or audience C? Do you see what we're doing? We're already starting to take a step back, zooming out, that kind of thing. Last thing. What's the most powerful way that you communicate? Is it through an email? Is it through your website? Is it through TikTok? What is it? How do your audience find you? And how does it work? Is it Patreon? Is it your YouTube podcast? What is it? That's first. Second is, how is an apology or a statement that is very needed and has to be timely, how is that going to land in the best way that could also protect you? So it could be, if it's something on video or on wax, or as I say, but if it's something like sort of recorded, then it can easily be clipped. Good to think about that. Is writing going to be better? So think about the different channels that you would have to communicate. And then think about any new channels that might serve you better and that you would actually desire and that you would like to sort of begin to use a little bit more. And where perhaps audience A, B, and C aren't necessarily, where maybe your audience A, B, and C are there. So do you see what we're doing? We're just starting to build a picture of how you communicate, who you're communicating to, when you have to communicate, what are the risks. You're starting to do this thing. And now there's so much more. There is so much more that you could begin to map. But just as a starter, I would always ask a client, anyone, to just, in the first instance, just redefine who your audience is. Who else do you want to reach? What's your sort of most effective communication method? What else do you want to use to communicate with them? And then what are your risks? Are there any risks to your reputation? Are there things that you have to sort of risk assess for the near future or any point in the future? And that should always inform any sort of campaign that you've got going on. Always. Or even if it can't be a full campaign and it's all up here and you just have to be mindful of something, it can help, because sometimes we have to communicate in the moment. But it's important to just have this sort of reflection there. It's lodged. It'll inform you better than you not having it at all. So this is my first live stream on this channel, and I appreciate you finding it and watching it. All of my links are provided. If you haven't already subscribed, I would absolutely love it for you to do just that, and drop me a comment. Let me know that you're here, and if this has served you, then please thumbs up, and I will see you most definitely in the next video. Now, there's always a delay when my streaming software starts the stream and ends it, so I might just be looking a little bit blank in the start and then in the end, but that's why. I'll see you in the next one.